Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a legendary showdown. And no, it's not one with swords, but with wills. It's this incredible story that pits the man who conquered the known world against a man who wanted absolutely nothing from it. And it really makes you wonder, what's the true meaning of power?
So right off the bat, this ancient encounter hits us with a huge question, one that's just as real for us today as it was back then. What is true power? Is it about commanding the world all around you? Or is it really about mastering the world you have inside?
Okay, to really get this story, first we've got to meet the conqueror. I mean, this is a man who, for all intents and purposes, held the entire world in the palm of his hand.
We are, of course, talking about Alexander the Great. His name was already the stuff of legend, he's the new commander-in-chief of Greece, and he's literally on the brink of invading Persia. At this point in time, his fame, his authority, it was just totally unmatched. And you know, when a man like that rises to power, the world pays attention. I mean, everyone, the most powerful and influential people you can imagine, from kings and generals to scholars and nobles, they all flock to congratulate him, to praise his rising star, and honestly, just to be seen with him.
All right, now for our second character. In a world that was just clamoring for a piece of Alexander's attention, there was this one guy who, well, he couldn't have cared less about all that power and glory.
Meet Diogenes of Sinope. Now, he was a famous philosopher, but his fame didn't come from owning things. It came from everything he didn't need. He lived this life of, radical simplicity, completely free from all the desires that pretty much consumed everyone else.
So what we've got here, and this is really the whole point, are two guys on completely opposite ends of the human spectrum. On one side, a king who literally possessed the world, and on the other, a philosopher who possessed himself. So what happens when these two forces collide? You know, what happens when the man who has everything finally meets the man who wants nothing? Let's get to that fateful meeting. You see, Alexander was so used to people wanting something from him. So he got curious. Who was this one man in all of Greece that showed zero interest in his power? He just had to find out for himself.
And the scene he finds is just one of absolute simplicity. There's no throne, no palace, just a man, lying on the ground, soaking up the warmth of the sun. It's such a stark contrast to Alexander's world of constant grandeur and ceremony.
So Alexander, with his whole entourage of soldiers and nobles watching, walks up and makes this offer of almost godlike power. It's basically a blank check from the most powerful man in the world. He just says, "Ask for anything." But Diogenes' response? It's something that nobody saw coming, least of all the king. He didn't ask for gold, he didn't ask for power or for some special favor. Nope, his only request? For the king to just step out of his light. The man who had everything was just asked to move his shadow off of something he could neither create nor give, the sun.
But the story doesn't end there. What's truly fascinating is what happened next. You know, how the crowd reacted, and even more importantly, how Alexander himself responded to this.
So Alexander's companions, they were just completely baffled. They started laughing, mocking Diogenes. I mean, to them, he was just some fool who had thrown away the opportunity of a lifetime. They just couldn't wrap their heads around his perspective at all.
But while his men were laughing, the world's most powerful man was struck silent. He wasn't insulted. He was humbled. In that moment, Alexander understood something that his followers just could not see.
And this, right here, this is the moment that leads to this incredible realization. As he steps aside, Alexander turns to his companions and says those now famous words. He recognized a kind of freedom in Diogenes that even his own immense power could never, ever buy. So, what's the core lesson here? What are we supposed to take away from this powerful story about a king and a philosopher?
Well, the story really boils down to this simple contrast. You see, Alexander's power was all external. He ruled lands, he ruled armies. But Diogenes' power, that was internal. He ruled himself, his own desires, his own needs.
And this leads to two totally different kinds of possession, right? One man had everything the material world could possibly offer him. But the other guy, he had the one thing that no one, not even a king, could ever take away from him: true freedom.
So ultimately, this whole encounter kind of forces us to redefine what greatness really means. Maybe it's not about how much we can get or control, but about how little we actually need from the outside world to be content, to be truly free.
And that's what this ancient story leaves us with, a really personal, modern question. What's your sunlight? What's that one simple, essential thing in your life that you wouldn't let any power in the entire world block?